Welcome in, NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Appreciate you joining us. Coming up on today's show, we're going to go over the latest news and rumors across the National Football League as the trade deadline is coming up on October 31st. We'll also take a look at some trade predictions of some movers and shakers of some destinations where guys could be ending up. We'll also do a mailbag coming up later. If you want to get on that mailbag segment, hashtag NFL or Super Chat. Super Chats get to the front of the line. And then trade deadline buyers and sellers. Who is going to be purchasing? Who is going to be moving on? We will go over all of those in just a matter of moments. A loaded show today. A delayed start, I know, but we had a lot of business to take care of in the office today. But nonetheless, we're out of the gates and ready to go here on this live edition of NFL Daily. Tyler Jones, Tyler Smith-Smitty in the house here with you. And we're not going to wait a second longer. We're going to jump right to our news and rumors today to get this thing started. So we got plenty to discuss when it comes to Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, and Dalvin Cook. We'll have those updates coming up on NFL Daily with our news and rumors segment coming up next. Here on the show. So that is what's on tap today. Thanks for spending part of your Thursday with us. Thursday Night Football coming up in just a couple hours from now. Should be a fun game tonight between the Saints and the Jags. I am going all in on the Jags tonight. I think the Saints are such a fraudulent football team, but we'll see how Trevor Lawrence looks as he's coming back from injury. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing started with our first segment with our news and rumors right now on the show. We'll get started in just a few moments talking Fields, Kirk Cousins, and Dalvin Cook. So stay informed. Look forward to that in just a few moments from right now. We'll bring that up. Checking in the chat, I see Juan is here. Also got James and Daniel. Daniel asking, do I want the Cowboys to make a big move? Yes, I do for sure, but knowing Jerry Jones, he will go for cheap options. Yeah, I mean, Jerry's got a history when it comes to that, of making decisions that way. Juan Hernandez says, Raider Nation deserves better, and it's really sad Mark Davis hasn't paid attention to anything. Josh McDaniels is messing up the team. Juan, got a very good point when it comes to Raider Nation, Josh McDaniels, and what we've seen there with Josh McDaniels and Mark Davis. Mark Davis just won another championship last night, though. He's a two-time WNBA champion owner as the Las Vegas Aces walked away with the title last night. So congrats to them, and what a mess it's been there for the Las Vegas Raiders as of late. Juan, I see you got a question for our mailbag segment that we'll be doing coming up later. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on that mailbag segment. Sean has done the same thing as well, so thanks, Sean, for doing that and getting those questions in, and we'll get to that coming up later. So Super Chats will get priority for that mailbag segment, but we will react to whatever questions you guys got when we get to that segment coming up later on. So stay tuned for that as we are almost ready to go with this next segment of news and rumors here. Let us know where you're watching from. Shout out your city, and we'll shout you out as we begin today here on NFL Daily. Let us know where you are at. We're coming at you from the Chat Sports Studios here in Dallas on this Thursday, and we are out of the gates and ready to go here on NFL Daily. Smitty gave me the thumbs up, so we will get started. All right, now let's go ahead and get after it here in just a moment. Okay, yeah. Let's hit that right now. Before we get to our segment, I do have an ad read to get out of the way. Let me tell you about our friends at Prize Picks, one of our newest partners here at Chat Sports, and the place to go when you're talking about daily fantasy sports, folks. Look, here's how it works. Daily fantasy made easy. You get to pick two or more players, and it's real simple. More or less. They put a specific number when it comes to receiving yards or passing yards or receptions, whatever it may be. And like for me, for example, I'm looking ahead this weekend, Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins. I like them each to hit the more on their passing yards number. For Baker, it's 221.5. Taking on Atlanta, I think he can hit more than 221.5. Cousins, in his matchup against San Francisco, I think the Vikings could make it a close game. Don't expect them to win, but I expect him to hit more than 232.5. You can go ahead and test out your skill set on Prize Picks. Get a $100 deposit bonus when you use the promo code CLNS to put in your daily fantasy stuff today. Check it out, prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS for a 100% deposit bonus. Check it out, and you'll be glad you did. All right, let's go ahead and get started now here with our news and rumors, talking about Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, and Dalvin Cook. That is up next right here on NFL Daily. We'll bring that to you in just a matter of moments. I see Daniel and Sean already getting questions in for the mailbag. Daniel also asking, do I want the Cowboys to make a big move, but saying Jerry Jones is cheap. Hey, Jerry's been known to make some trades before, so we'll see what he does here. We just about sent? Yep, all right. Here we go. Let's get after it as we'll begin here on NFL Daily with our first of 4 segments today. Yeah, that's fine. Coming up today on NFL Daily, we are talking about a potential trade involving Justin Fields leaving the Chicago Bears. Also, Kirk Cousins, could he be headed out? And is there one specific place that comes to mind where he could be a potential fit? We'll discuss. Also, the latest on Dalvin Cook's status, as he just arrived in New York but might not be staying for very long. We'll explain in a matter of moments. You want your team to win this weekend? Here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and like today's video. Don't jinx it. Don't take any chances on it. If your team loses and you didn't like today's video, I don't want it to be your fault. So why even test your luck at that? Like today's video, and we'll get started with today's show. Justin Fields to the Atlanta Falcons. Is that a possibility? How realistic is that? The Athletics' Jeff Howe has proposed a deal to send the Chicago Bears QB to Atlanta. Why Atlanta? There's more from Howe. The Bears are tracking toward the number 1 pick in the draft, either with their own selection or from the Panthers. So they're in play for USC's Caleb Williams or North Carolina's Drake May. With major changes likely on the horizon again, it might be best to maximize Fields' value. Meanwhile, the Falcons were linked to Fields, who's from Georgia, before the 2021 draft, and it seems like he'd be a pretty solid fit for Arthur Smith's offense. So the idea that Howe is proposing is sending Fields to Atlanta, and the Bears receive Taylor Heineke, a second-round pick in 2024, and a conditional third-round pick in 2025. And I got to tell you, I was a little surprised to see this trade idea, but the more I think about it, it actually makes quite a bit of sense, and here's why. Desmond Ridder does not look very good right now. The Falcons could use some help at the quarterback position for a team that is playoff caliber. They have a very realistic chance to win that division. And all you got to do is get in the tournament and then work everything else from there. If the Falcons can get that quarterback play and elevate that team another step, watch out. Maybe the Falcons could surprise some people. You look at the numbers here. And although Justin Fields got off to a slow start to 2023, he has been miles better than what we've seen out of Desmond Ridder. Completion percentage edge to Desmond Ridder, sure. But look at the touchdown-to-interception ratio. 11-6 compared to 6-6. That's a big difference. Not to mention, you factor in the running ability of Justin Fields as well, pair him up with Bijan Robinson, all of a sudden, Atlanta might look like a completely different football team potentially. So, what about this? Should the Bears trade Justin Fields? If they're going to replace him with a young quarterback anyway, should they trade him to a team like Atlanta and try to get something out of him right now? What do you think? It's our pinned comment today. Why for yes, in for no way in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Kirk Cousins, could he be taking his talents to South Beach? NBC Sports' Peter King this week in his Football Morning in America column suggested that there could be a trade on the horizon to send the Vikings QB to Miami. More from Peter King. I think it's not impossible Kirk Cousins gets traded, but I think it's unlikely unless an injury quarterback forces a playoff contending coach very familiar with Cousins who could play to his strengths to look for a quarterback. If Miami loses to Tua before the October 31st trade deadline, who knows if Mike McDaniel would want to roll the dice with Cousins for the rest of the year. There's one other factor. Cousins has a no-trade clause. He's very likely not going to waive it, no matter how bad the situation gets in Minnesota in the next 2 weeks, unless it's, as I said, to a coach he knows well with an offense he could master, and that could potentially be the Miami Dolphins. More on Cousins in just a moment, but first, today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the place to go when you're talking about daily fantasy sports and daily fantasy sports made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 players or more, and it's real simple. More or less on the given amount that is assigned to them, whether it's receptions, rushing yards, passing yards, receiving yards. We got it all for you. Here's what I'm putting down on Prize Picks this week. I got Baker Mayfield hitting more than 221.5 passing yards. I got Kirk Cousins hitting more than 232.5 passing yards in their matchups this week. You can join me on Prize Picks, and you can get a $100 deposit match when you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the promo code CLNS for that deposit bonus. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of NFL Daily here on Chat Sports. Now, I'll say this. As far as that potential possibility goes, of a couple dominoes having to fall, the first of those is losing Tua. Not wishing anything bad on Tua. We want to see him play and stay healthy and everything. But this is actually a plausible scenario for a trade for Kirk Cousins here because we've seen Tua have problems of staying healthy. I mean, any given day, something could happen to Tua realistically. That's one possibility. But another team I would bring up within that same division to potentially give a phone call for Cousins is the New York Jets. And although there's not the familiarity that there is with the Miami Dolphins and their coaching staff, if you're Cousins and the Jets come calling and you look at that team who's literally just a quarterback away, they got the best defense in football, they got some playmakers on that offense, they just need a quarterback, that would be very tempting. And maybe you sit behind Zach Wilson for a couple weeks to learn the offense, and then you roll from there. But Cousins, to me, that's the team that has my interest potentially. He's off to a very good start to 2023. 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, close to 1,700 yards passing. Cousins is playing very good right now. So for me, that's the team that I'd keep my eyes on because there's no way Minnesota is going to bring him back next year and sign him to an extension. Will Cousins get traded or not? T for trade, K for keep. Get in that comment section. Tell us what you think will happen to Cousins there. Folks, we are here on NFL Daily by Chat Sports bringing you daily coverage. It's like it's in our name or something. With news and rumors, we're doing live shows, our Red Zone channel on Sundays, Q&A mailbags, and more. Subscribe now as we have the National Football League covered each and every day. I want to get 20 subs off today's video. Make it happen. We'll see you right here next time. All right, Dalvin Cook. What is next for Dalvin? According to new reports, there are multiple teams interested in a potential trade for the New York Jets running back who just arrived not too long ago, but has already seen his role significantly reduced with Breece Hall getting back to 100% full strength and health at this point going forward. So what does that mean for Dalvin? Does he still have somewhere that he could fit in and see significant playing time potentially? Well, it sounds like that some teams are at least picking up the phone and calling the New York Jets and saying, hey, you know what? We actually might have some interest here in Dalvin Cook that they might find a way to potentially fit him in. Listen to this from ESPN. Some teams are curious to see what, if any, the Jets will do with running back Dalvin Cook, whose role is diminished now that Breece Hall is back to full-time duty. How about that? Cook joined the Jets this offseason after 6 years with the Vikings, 4-time Pro Bowler. His contract is a 1-year, $7 million deal, but keep in mind the Jets have already paid him some of that money, so it is cheaper than that. So I think then the next question becomes, for a team that is interested in Dalvin Cook, no pun intended. I'm lying. It is pun intended. Is Dalvin Cook washed or is he cooked? I mean, really, is he being underutilized in New York and they're just working Breece Hall and that's their guy and Dalvin Cook's been pushed aside, or has Dalvin Cook lost a step? I honestly am not 100% confident either direction. Personally, I don't think he's necessarily cooked. The numbers say that he hasn't got off to a good start this year. 2.8 yards per carry, 109 total yards, 39 carries. But granted, it's a small sample size. The team that I'm watching for potentially to have some interest in Dalvin Cook that's got my attention is the Cleveland Browns. Losing Chubb, they brought in Kareem Hunt. He hasn't looked great, and the Browns are trying to go all in and make the postseason. Look out for Cleveland potentially to be a team to make a move towards Dalvin Cook. More on Dalvin Cook in one moment, but first, is Dalvin Cook actually cooked? Type C for cooked, NC for not cooked. What do you think? Let me know what you think about Dalvin Cook and his situation right now. I think it's too small of a sample size to say that he is officially cooked personally. But we'll see if he gets another opportunity elsewhere, because it seems like his days with the Jets are numbered. If you enjoyed today's show, hit the like button on the video. We certainly would appreciate it. Love having you guys here at NFL Daily. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. All right. Trade predictions coming up in just a moment. We'll break down 10 players who I believe will get traded and where they will likely land. But first, let's ask you guys, is Dalvin Cook actually cooked? C for cooked, NC for not cooked. Check it in the chat here. Let's see. I see a no from D-Tip. Flame says yes. SM says yes. Let us know what you guys think, if Dalvin Cook is actually cooked or not. As far as that goes, very curious what you guys think about that. Up next, trade predictions. We're going to go through 10 players of where we think they are going to end up when the trade deadline rolls around on October 31st. We'll predict those for you piece by piece in just a matter of moments. We did this last week with 10 players, and I got 10 completely different players here that we're going to go through that we haven't made official predictions yet of where they could land. So we'll go over that, and then coming up later, we'll have our mailbag segment, hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. And then we'll have our buyers and sellers segment coming up later on as well. I'll take a little swig, clear my throat, and then we'll get started. All right. Smitty, we all good? Cool. All right. Let's break it down for you. 10 players of who will get traded and where they will likely land coming up right now. It's NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. The trade deadline is nearing. I have 10 players who we believe will get traded prior to the deadline and where they will exactly land. We'll go over that in just a moment. But first, a little challenge out there for our NFL Daily viewers. I want to see if we can get 20 subscribers off today's video. I don't think that's asking too much. If you want more NFL coverage, like what you're seeing here, then come on in and stay a while. Be a part of what we're doing each and every day on the channel. Subscribe now for free. Let's get 20 subs. Let's start with Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans. I am predicting that Derrick Henry will end up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I got to tell you, the reason why that I'm picking Derrick Henry to end up in Tampa Bay has to do with that team being better than I think some people expected them to be. They're contending in that division, but they need a little help in that run game. Look, I like Baker Mayfield. I'm a fan of Baker. I think he's a decent quarterback. But I don't want Baker Mayfield throwing it 45 times a game. They need a way to establish the run. They need a way to run the football. Tampa Bay intrigues me of being a run-first football team to open up the play action for Baker Mayfield. And you talk about physical and tough. You put Derrick Henry and Mike Evans there in that same skill position group. All of a sudden, to me, that sounds intriguing about the idea of sending Derrick Henry to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers potentially. And then you're in the driver's seat to win the division. And then from there, we're talking about the Bucs in the playoffs. And you just get in, you figure it out, everything else out from that point. Will Derrick Henry get traded? I know a lot of people are expecting him to get traded and would like to see him on their team. Still one of the best running backs in football. Is he going to leave Tennessee when it's all said and done? Because he's not coming back next year. What do you guys think? It's our pinned comment today. Y for yes, in for no. Tell me what you think. Next up, Marquise Brown, wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, is the prediction there, going from Arizona to KC. And I think it was a pretty telling sign for the Chiefs when they brought back Mecole Hardman, because Mecole Hardman's time in Kansas City was a bit of a disappointment. That tells me that the Chiefs are very desperate when it comes to the receiver spot right now. And Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, with all that speed and his ability to get downfield, that's exactly what Patrick Mahomes needs and could use right now. He's off to a decent start to 2023 with bad quarterback play, having to deal with Josh Dobbs, right? 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. You put him with Patrick Mahomes, we could see Hollywood Brown potentially play at a Pro Bowl level as far as that goes. Another wide receiver, Courtland Sutton, I have him going to Green Bay and joining the Green Bay Packers. It would be pretty ironic, wouldn't it, if Green Bay, after not giving Aaron Rodgers all the weapons that he wanted for so many years, if somehow they got aggressive and made a move for a receiver to help out Jordan Love here. Look, the Packers, I think, are one of those teams that are kind of hard to figure out. And I'm not expecting the Packers to be sellers necessarily. I would think that they want to put Jordan Love in a position to see what they have and try to succeed. He needs a little help, though. Watch out. I could see that working for Green Bay to go with Sutton there. Let's go to safety now, and that's where we find Kevin Byard of the Tennessee Titans. And I am predicting that he ends up in Philadelphia. The Eagles are looking for some potential help at the safety position, which is one of their few weaknesses at this point in time. And when you talk about the Eagles, you can't not talk about Howie Roseman and his great track record of being aggressive and making the necessary moves to compete at a high level. And KB, I'm telling you this right now, would be an incredible fit with what the Eagles are wanting to do with that defense. And we've seen him play at a high level previously. Watch out. Go to a Philadelphia defense that has other talent around him, where he's not asked to do too much. To me, that makes a lot of sense for Kevin Byard to end up with Philly. Then we go to New England. That's where we find Josh Uche. And I got to tell you, I like the idea of Josh ending up in Seattle with the Seattle Seahawks. And here's the thing. You can get Josh U for probably about a fifth-round pick. And Seattle doesn't have a ton of cap space to spend. This is a Seattle team that could use another pass rusher or two. I know their pass rushes look better the last couple of weeks as they've had 14 sacks in the last 2 games. But even with that said, for the Seahawks, with the inconsistencies and injuries that could happen, it's better to have more than not enough. And that's where I think Josh U could fall in. He's finally starting to come into his own there in New England. Got 2 sacks, 6 tackles already this season. Watch out. I think that could be a good fit for Seattle. They'd be very pleased to have him on board. Who's a player that will get traded at the trade deadline? We've named a few already. What do you guys think? Weigh in that comment section. Give us a couple names or two, and where you think they ultimately end up in that comment section. Chime in and let us know. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy sports made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players, and it's real simple. You decide if they are going to hit more or less on a specific number that they are given when it comes to yardage or receptions, pass attempts, carries, whatever it may be. They have all sorts of different stuff. For me this weekend, I'm looking out for Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins. I like Baker to hit more than 221.5 passing yards against the Atlanta Falcons. And I like Cousins to hit more than 232.5 passing yards against the San Francisco 49ers. You can get your entries in now and get a $100 deposit match when you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use promo code CLNS at checkout for that deposit bonus. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Check them out, Prize Picks, for that $100 deposit match, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Now let's turn our attention to Carl Lawson, who has been kind of phased out of sorts of the Jets defense. And the Raiders, who we all thought were going to be pretty bad, oddly enough, are in somewhat position to be buyers. I think part of the reason why, too, is that McDaniels and Ziegler know that they are trying to hold on to their jobs, right? If McDaniels gets fired, Ziegler gets fired. And so although they're not that great of a team, they're in wild card contention for now, so I could see them being aggressive and trying to make a move and getting a pass rusher like Carl Lawson, potentially. You pair him up with Max Crosby, all of a sudden, maybe Lawson starts to come to life and play a pivotal role in that Raiders defense to put them over the top where they want to go. Next on the list, we go to the corner position, staying in Tennessee, and that's where we find Christian Fulton. And I'm looking at the idea of Fulton going to Pittsburgh to joining the Pittsburgh Steelers. And let me tell you why. The Steelers aren't getting what they expected out of Patrick Peterson. He was supposed to be a big addition for that Steelers defense, and it hasn't really worked out. The Steelers are another team that still thinks that they're a solid football team. That, you know, what is it? They're only a half game or a game back in their division right now and still in contention for the wild card. They need some help. Now, they got some issues at the quarterback spot offensively, and their offensive line isn't very good. But you add him to the fold with that defensive backfield, that could potentially help this Steelers defense go a long way. Let's talk receiver now. That's where we find Terrence Marshall Jr. of the Carolina Panthers, and I'm looking out for the LA Rams. Now, not many of us were expecting much out of the LA Rams in 2023, but here we are. The Rams are not a bad football team, and you think about it. With the guys that they have there, Stafford and Aaron Donald and company, this might be their last chance to kind of do something. So it might be their last chance to kind of try to see what they can do to help out Stafford and make one last playoff push before these guys disappear. Marshall, you add him to that receiving core, and you already have Cooper Kupp there and some of these other guys here. Maybe that gets this LA offense rolling and shows some consistency like we saw against Seattle and against Arizona and be able to do that week in and week out. So watch out for the Rams to be players on that front. What team needs to make a move the most at the deadline? Weigh in the comment section. We've already named several teams as potential buyers. What say you? Chime in that comment section. Give me a team that comes to mind that you would like to see make a move here within the next couple of weeks. As we're wrapping up, a couple more names here. Trent Brown, offensive tackle with the Rams. We are looking at him going from the Patriots to the LA Rams. And, you know, I don't see the Rams just stopping with one move. What history tells us with Stan Kroenke and that bunch in LA is when they're all in, they are all in. And right now that offensive line could use a little bit of help. Trent Brown might be exactly what they're looking for potentially. Has Trent Brown looked great? No, but the size is there. And I got to tell you, when I look at that LA Rams team, a little more protection for Stafford. I know that he's dealt with the injuries. That might be something that puts the Rams over the top potentially of where they want to go. If they're going to make a move, I would think multiple moves. Trent Brown could make sense for them. Last on the list, Mr. Jewell himself, the linebacker from the Denver Broncos. We are looking at him going to the Miami Dolphins. Now, Dolphins look like a serious threat. One of the best teams, if not the best team in the AFC. But they could use some reinforcements on their defense. In particular, that linebacker room, Jules seems to be a potential fit for that team to put them in serious contention. Kind of like the LA Rams. They don't always care about their picks. They care about making moves for being aggressive and getting veterans. Jules could potentially fill that void there for the Dolphins. If you enjoyed today's show, go ahead and subscribe now for more NFL coverage here at NFL Daily, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel. All right. 2 segments down, 2 to go, halfway home here on NFL Daily. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag segment. Let's see. I see Clayton says he's going to get a pizza. Let's see. What else we got here. People asking about Patrick Queen in the chat. I think Patrick Queen's staying in Baltimore. I'd be surprised if he's going elsewhere. We'll see what happens there. But checking in, I know we could use some more questions. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get your questions in. I know Juan had some questions. Sean did. Daniel. Let's see. Who else? Who else got some questions here? Use hashtag NFL Super Chat to get on the mailbag, and we'll answer those coming up in just a few moments from right now. If you got any trade ideas in particular, let me know about that, and we'll react to them coming up in just a few moments. NFL Daily live here on a Thursday. Tyler Jones here. Appreciate you joining us. We'll get started coming up momentarily with this mailbag segment. Checking in on the chat. Clayton, you got any questions? Let's see. What about D-Tip or Flame for Jesus? Anyone else? It says I have a question. Send it in. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat. We'll get to that question. Whoever else is out there, let us know, and we'll react to what you guys have to say. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the show. There we go, JJ. That's how it's done. Daniel with another one there. All right. I think we're good to go. Joshua, I see your comment there. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat for me to be able to answer that. Just take that same question again and use those two, and we'll get it in our segment here. All right. Well, good. Cool. Let's get after it. Mailbag time here on NFL Daily. All right. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on this mailbag segment. We'll bring you coming up in just a few moments from right now. There we go. It's BXPE. Good work using hashtag NFL. That's how it's done, folks. We'll get that question coming up in just a few moments. Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag segment. We'll answer it all in just a matter of moments. NFL trade rumors Q&A. Send them your way, and we'll react to them right now. Bless you. All right. Here we go. Yep. All right. It is NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here, and I got a little question for you. Who is your favorite NFL player? There's no wrong answers here. Let us know in the comment section. Shout them out, and we'll get started with this mailbag show. Let's start with NFL Fan 69. Nice. Could the Ravens trade for Danielle Hunter? Wouldn't that be interesting if the Ravens made a trade for Danielle Hunter? Danielle Hunter is off to a fantastic start to 2023, currently second in the league in sacks. He has looked fantastic so far this season. And the way that his contract is kind of structured, it's really just a one-year situation. The Vikings are not a very good football team, expected to be sellers at the deadline here. Watch out for the Baltimore Ravens to make a potential move to bring him in. I think the Ravens are among a number of teams that would be interested in the services of Danielle Hunter. You look at that Ravens team, and they're a very solid bunch. I like what they have to offer on both sides of the football, but they're still looking for a little extra of some sorts. Now, it might be on offense, But we've seen, historically speaking, when you think Ravens football and the identity of that organization, it starts and it ends with that defense. You already have Roquan Smith there. You already have Patrick Queen there. You add Danielle Hunter into the fold, and now you're talking about potentially making the Ravens the best defense in football. Now, their pass rush has done a pretty decent job the last couple of weeks, but you can never have too many pass rushers. Danielle Hunter would be a game changer for Baltimore. I think you could probably pull him in for about a second and a fifth-round pick. Should the Ravens trade for Danielle Hunter? Weigh in, tell us what you think in the comment section. Y for yes, N for no. Our pinned comment today, weigh in and tell us what you think if the Ravens should make a trade for Hunter or not. Let us know in the comment section below. Now let's take a moment to tell you about today's sponsor. That is RexMD. Fellas, do you sometimes lack confidence in the bedroom? Do you wish you could have a more fulfilling sex life? Well, you're not alone. That's why we're excited to tell you about RexMD, the online source for men's wellness. RexMD offers an easy and discreet way to get the medication you need for ED without having to visit a doctor's office. With just a few clicks, you can have your medication delivered straight to your door and at a fraction of the cost of traditional pharmacies. RexMD's team of licensed physicians will work with you to find the right treatment plan, and their medication is made in the U.S. of A. So you can trust its quality. Plus, their customer support team is available 24/7 to answer any questions or concerns you may have. So if you're ready to take control of your sex life and say goodbye to ED, head on over to rexmd.com/chat and start your consultation today. Take advantage of the best deal they've ever offered and get up to 95% off RexMD plus a free gift with our exclusive link. That's rexmd.com/chat. Go to rexmd.com/chat for this limited time deal. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are now available for our listeners to get started. That's rexmd.com/chat for up to 90% off. All right. Steve Carell, he could probably use some RexMD. He writes in, what are the chances Marquise Brown returns to Baltimore? Steve, very good question as far as Marquise Brown goes. So the Cardinals are very much sellers at the trade deadline. One of the worst teams in the league, and you have to think that everybody is up for grabs as they really start this rebuild for that Arizona Cardinals team. Marquise Brown, the Cardinals have not gotten what they had hoped for out of Marquise Brown, as he's dealt with a lot of injuries there, and, you know, they gave up a first-round pick. If they had to do it over again, there's no way in hell they would have given up that much. The Ravens won that trade big time. Now, as far as going back to Baltimore, it's possible, but I don't think Marquise Brown really liked his time in Baltimore. He made it very clear that he didn't like the system that was in place, and even this Todd Monken offense isn't necessarily going to fulfill, I think, Marquise Brown's desires of what he's looking for. So I doubt it that Marquise Brown comes back to Baltimore, but with OBJ kind of inconsistent at the moment and the Ravens going all in on this year, I wouldn't rule out them bringing in a receiver, but I would be surprised if Marquise Brown was that receiver for the Ravens. What are the chances the Ravens trade for Marquise Brown? Weigh in, tell us in that comment section. Scale it 1 through 10, how likely you think it is that Brown ends up in Baltimore. If you're looking for more daily NFL coverage, you've come to the right place. NFL Daily by Chat Sports is bringing you daily news and rumors. We also do our live Red Zone channel on Sundays. We do mailbag segments and more. You got to subscribe to NFL Daily for the latest happenings across the National Football League. We got you covered. We're going to have our live trade deadline coverage coming up in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe now for free. NFL Daily by Chat Sports. You'll be glad you did. Cameron writes in, do you think we will trade Davante Adams, and what would be the best price for the Raiders in return? I don't think the Raiders are trading Davante Adams. I think the Raiders are going to stay put as is because McDaniels and Ziegler know that they would be going out together, essentially. If McDaniels gets fired, Ziegler's probably getting fired too. And they're in a weird position where they can still contend to make a playoff spot right now. So with that said, I think they're hanging on with Davante Adams for now. I would be shocked if they got the return on investment of what they got when the trade was made a couple years ago when the Raiders gave up a lot of picks to bring in Davante Adams. I think at this point, with him being a little older now, with him being on that huge contract, you probably get a first-round pick, and that might be it potentially for Davante Adams. Sean Walsh writes in, will the Chiefs trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire before the trade deadline? Sean, why would anyone want CEH? That's the question I have. CEH is a former first-round pick. He hasn't played that well. He's been given every single opportunity to succeed with that Kansas City Chiefs offense. I don't know why anyone would want to make a move for CEH. I think that he's more likely to be released than he is to be traded, if we're going to be frank with you. So I don't see a trade going down. It's not that the Chiefs don't want to get rid of him, but no one's going to take him off their hands and get something for him. It's BXPE writes, what's your thoughts on the Steelers' offense and what could they do to make a difference? The O-line sucks. Matt Canada is an awful OC, and Kenny Pickett has clearly regressed. He doesn't look like the quarterback that the Steelers had hoped for. With that said, I don't see much of a point of return for this Steelers team. They might try to go get some offensive linemen to try to salvage this, but they got way too many problems for that Steeler offense to be a competitive football team right now, at least a serious team. I know their record has them in contention, but the Steelers are eventually going to hit a wall and fall off. I feel pretty confident in saying that. Daniel writes in, do you see the Cowboys getting Derrick Henry? That's a good question. I think Derrick Henry, anyone that's willing to give up a good trade package could have a chance. I would be surprised if Dallas does, though, because you already have Tony Pollard there. Deuce Vaughn, there's a lot of excitement about what he could potentially bring to the table. Somebody could make an aggressive move for Derrick Henry. I doubt Dallas is that team to do it, though. Joshua writes, what are the odds the Ravens are getting Jerry Jeudy? That's an intriguing idea, Joshua, sending Jerry Jeudy to the Ravens. And, you know, if you send him to Baltimore, he'll get playing time immediately. He'd be playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with. And the trade value after Steve Smith Sr. was talking his smack and all that, that actually might have hurt Jerry Jeudy's trade value potentially. You might be able to pull it in with a second or third round pick. Eric DeCosta before this year wasn't one to spend a lot on receivers. That's kind of changed over the last few months. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think it's unlikely. But if the Ravens decided to pull the trigger and go get Jerry Jeudy, that might be a solid move potentially for the Ravens to do so. Subscribe now to Chat Sports for more NFL coverage each and every day. We got you covered. We'll see you next time right here on the channel. All right. One more segment to go as we will get to our buyers and sellers at the NFL trade deadline segment. What are the chances the Ravens trade for Marquise Brown? Scale it for me 1 through 10 in that comment section. Let me know what you think the chances are that happens. So this next segment here, we are going to go over the teams that are most likely to buy at the deadline and the most likely to sell at the deadline. And I'm going to make it simple for you guys. This is a good information segment ahead because we are going to simply explain what the needs are and also what the positions, what the players are that are out there of these teams that are selling. So we'll go over that in just a second. One, sorry we didn't get to your question. We ran out of time. Same with you, JJ. The only way we can guarantee you to get on those mailbags is if you super chat. If you guys super chat, I'll still throw it on the screen and answer whatever question you guys had. So sorry about that, guys, but we just ran out of time for that segment. All right, let's get to it. It's BXPE, says Tyler. Love your enthusiasm, brother. Thank you for that. It's almost the end of the week for us, so we are hanging in there. Just about ready to go home and call it a weekend here on Chat Sports NFL Daily. Buyers and sellers. Breaking down the expected buyers and sellers at the trade deadline. We will go over that next here on NFL Daily. We just about set. All right. Let's get after it. It's NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here, breaking down the potential buyers and sellers at the NFL trade deadline. Who could make a move to strengthen their team, and who could be looking to pick up assets for the future as they are trying to tank. We'll go over all of those teams, the needs, and the potential players that are out there in just a matter of moments. Before we do, folks, I want you to follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. And here's what I'm going to do. For the first 10 people that follow me on X today, at Tyler Jones Live, I'm going to follow you back. I'm posting NFL coverage on there, in particular about the Seattle Seahawks, where I host Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Check me out on X. I'm following the first 10 back. Let's see who follows me, and I'll show you some love there on X. Let's start with the buyers. I begin with the Kansas City Chiefs as the first potential buyer here. Now, the Chiefs have already made some moves at this point with going after Mecole Hardman from the New York Jets, and Frank Clark looks like he's on his way back. So those two needs have been addressed, but I don't necessarily think that they will stop there potentially. We've heard the Chiefs mention when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins or Marquise Brown or some of these other receivers out there. There's plenty of edge rushers that are on the market. I know Danielle Hunter has been mentioned for Kansas City as well. Look out for the Chiefs as a team that knows they're contending for a Super Bowl to be aggressive. Brett Veach has a track record of doing that. The Chiefs could be one of those teams. The top seller at the trade deadline has to be, without question, the Denver Broncos. It has been a dumpster fire of a season. Russell Wilson continues to suck. Sean Payton has made some bad decisions. And that roster is just not simply playing to its potential. So, with that said, who do they have available? Actually, some decent talent. That receiving core is pretty solid. Russ just can't get these guys the football. Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton are out there. Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson aren't bad. And then Jewell and Bowles also are a couple other potential options. If you're looking for line help, linebacker, safety, or wide receiver, the Broncos have a little bit of everything potentially to help out your roster. But an ongoing discussion over the last couple of weeks, if you had to pick one to trade for, which guy would you rather have? Jerry Jeudy or Courtland Sutton? We're asking you guys in the comment section or pinned comment today. Type JJ for Jerry Jeudy, type CS for Courtland Sutton. Let us know what you think. Back to the buyers list we go. That's where we find the defending NFC champion, Philadelphia Eagles. And I got to tell you, the Eagles have been known to be aggressive with Howie Roseman, with the decisions that he's made as general manager. Right now, they are looking for secondary help. The Eagles, very solid football team. Might have the best roster 1 through 53. But their one kind of glaring weakness right now that they could be looking for is help in that secondary position. And luckily for them, there's plenty of guys out there on that market where they could make a move. Back to the sellers list we go. We find the Carolina Panthers, who had the number 1 pick last year, courtesy of the Chicago Bears in a trade they made to get Bryce Young. But they don't have any talent around Bryce Young. And so they're looking to sell, get rid of some guys like Brian Burns and others, unload some big contracts potentially. Jeremy Chin looks like he's going to miss 6 weeks, could end up playing for a playoff contender. Terrence Marshall Jr. is out there. He's not off to a great start so far this year. Watch out for some of these guys to have a new home and for the Panthers to try to get more capital to help them for this upcoming draft. Back to the buyers list, a team that not a lot of people had high hopes for entering 2023. That is the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Rams, I don't think they're going to be contending to win the division by any means, but they look like a wild card caliber team. Now, there are a few weaknesses, but as the Rams have done in the past, we've heard them say, F them picks, right? So maybe they could be in position to give up some of those picks to acquire an edge or a running back or an offensive lineman and try to take that next step. And this could be the last go-round of sorts for Stafford and Donald and those guys there, so watch out for the LA Rams. Back to the sellers list now. That is where we find the New York Football Giants. This might be the most disappointing team in football this year. The Giants thought that they were going to be a playoff caliber team. their roster. They made aggressive moves, bringing in Darren Waller and Isaiah Simmons, and there was a lot of talk about Brian Dable in his second year. Now here they are with only one win to show for it this time. Saquon Barkley's not coming back next year. Going to have a lot of teams interested in him. We've seen Adoree Jackson, Xavier McKinney have their moments. Sterling Shepard's been a solid receiver over the years, but he's had problems staying healthy. And then there's Leonard Williams, who might be the best defensive lineman on the market out there for teams looking for help in the interior. Watch out for Leonard Williams potentially to be a guy for the Giants to have their phone ringing for. Are the Giants the most disappointing team in the NFL? I think so. Do you agree? If you agree, type Y for yes. If not, type in for no. Let us know what you think in that comment section below. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is one of our newest partners here at Chat Sports. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Here's how it works, folks. You pick two or more players, and it's real simple. They have a number that they are giving, whether it comes to yards or receptions or carries, whatever it may be. And you simply have to choose, will they have more or less than the given number attached to them? Like me, for example, this week, I like Baker Mayfield to have more than 221.5 passing yards, and I like Kirk Cousins to have more than 232.5 passing yards in his game. Here's what Prize Picks is offering for our viewers of NFL Daily. They're offering a $100 deposit match. If you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the promo code CLNS, you can get that $100 deposit match. So check it out. See for yourself if you like it or not. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Check them out. Tell them Tyler Jones sent you. You'll be glad you did. Back to the buyers list. We find the Detroit Lions now. The Detroit Lions having the best season they have had in years, folks. They are a fascinating football team right now. And when you look at the Detroit Lions, the thing that they're looking for is secondary help. We've seen them get into some shootouts this year, and their secondary get a little attacked here. They're about to get some players back from suspension and company. Watch out for the Detroit Lions to find what they're looking for in the secondary. Back to the sellers list we go. We find the Minnesota Vikings, another one of the most disappointing teams in the league this year. They moved on from Dalvin Cook before the season began, and the running game has not really found its footing, no pun intended. The defense isn't very good. Other than Danielle Hunter and a couple other guys, they've got some weaknesses. So where does that put the Vikings? Well, they got some valuable pieces that could make a difference on many teams across the league. Ezra Cleveland, his PFF scores are 70+, very good in almost every category. Danielle Hunter is having a career season. Harrison Smith, DJ, these guys here, there's some interesting prospects for the Vikings and to jumpstart this rebuild to get some pretty decent draft capital here for them. Back to the buyers list, we find the Buffalo Bills, who the last two seasons have been eliminated in the divisional round of the playoffs. What can they do to take that next step potentially to get Josh Allen and that team over the hump? They are looking for help at corner. And think about when it comes playoff time, when they're facing teams like Kansas City and Cincinnati and others here, they're going to need some help to defend those high-powered offenses. The cornerback position, if they can find a corner, that will go a long way for that Buffalo Bills team. What team will be the most aggressive at the NFL trade deadline? Name them in that comment section. What team you think that is, and let us know what you think in the comment section below. We continue with sellers now. The New England Patriots. The Patriots. It has been bad for New England. They're 1-5 right now, about to play the Bills and the Dolphins. They're going to be 1-7 in no time, and questioning Bill Belichick's future as far as that goes. Patriots have quite a few players that could be getting phone calls for, including Kendrick Bourne, who's off to the best start of his career, Trent Brown, Kyle Duggar, who's a very solid DB, Hunter Henry, who's not a bad tight end, Jalen Mills, and then Josh Uche as well at the linebacker spot, who had over 11 sacks last year. So look out for those guys to be potential options on the trade market. Another buyer is the LA Chargers. I know the Chargers are at 2-3 right now, but that is a team that in all three losses have been very close games. they are a couple possessions away from their season being a completely different story. We know that they have a very good quarterback in Justin Herbert, but he doesn't have much to get the ball to at the moment. They need receiver help to get that offense going, to take that next step. Justin Herbert's got to find somebody to get the football to. Watch out for them to go after receiver. Another selling team, the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans, it is the end of an era, it feels like, as we've seen them just kind of stand in their own way and make dumb decisions that have set this team back. Ever since they were the number one seed in the AFC, it has been downhill ever since. One name to watch for specifically, that is Derrick Henry. Some of you are going to bring up Ryan Tannehill, but I don't know why anyone and their mother would want Ryan Tannehill right now because he looks awful, and he got hurt last week too. But Derrick Henry, I expect the Titans to get a lot of calls for at the deadline. Still one of the best backs in football. He looked good last week against Baltimore. He's an every down back. He is spectacular. Think about a team like the Ravens, potentially, who know they're a good football team but need help at running back. Derrick Henry, there's going to be some phone calls to Tennessee. They're not bringing him back next year. Might as well try to get something out of him while they can. For more NFL coverage, subscribe now to NFL Daily, as we're talking about the National Football League every day. We got our live shows twice a week. We have our Red Zone channel on Sundays, Q&A, interactive mailbags, and more. If you love the National Football League, this is the channel for you. Subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. Last on our buyers list, we go to Baltimore Buyers Club. Not Dallas Buyers Club. See what I did there? The Ravens. This is a team that looks very talented on paper, but they've been getting in their own way at points this year. And they could use one more pass rusher. They could use an edge rusher, and there's plenty of options for them. When you talk about the identity of the Baltimore Ravens, historically speaking, it's a great defense. We know they have Roquan Smith. They know they have Patrick Queen. Watch out. They could make a move for one more star and a pass rusher at that edge position to complete that defense. Last on the sellers list, you already knew it was the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, one of the worst teams in the league, could be in contention for that number one pick. They're not a very good team, but they still have a few players that other teams could want. Budda Baker, probably the most noteworthy. Still one of the best safeties in football. Marquise Brown, he's been kind of a disappointment since he came to Arizona, but still one of the fastest receivers in the league. And then there's Zach Ertz. He's a bit older now. Wouldn't cost you as much as he would have a couple of years ago, but still a decent tight end. So we'll see where these guys ultimately end up. Give me a follow on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Tyler Jones Live. Remember, I'm following the first 10 people that follow me off of today's show. And I'll see you next time, right here on NFL Day. Bang. There we go. We are just about done. What team will be the most aggressive at the deadline? Brooks says Dallas is one of those teams. Joshua says Mac Jones for a bag of chips. Joshua, you can never have too many pass rushers. Ravens still sounds like are interested in an edge rusher, potentially speaking. We will sign off. Appreciate you guys hanging out here on NFL Daily. We got to run. Check back here Sunday for our Red Zone channel. I'm going to be live on Sunday as well over on our Seahawks channel for when the Seahawks square off with the Arizona Cardinals. I will see you then. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy some football tonight, and we'll see you next time right here on NFL Daily. So long, everybody.